Hello everyone, in this video we're going to go over the answers to the Balanced Binary Tree Search Worksheet and also introduce you to, once you've learned how to recognize a balanced tree, how to recognize an unbalanced tree and what to do about it when you recognize that there is imbalance in your tree. How do you put that right? So that's what's called rotations, and we're going to be going through those at the end of this video. But first, this worksheet that you saw before, is this tree balanced, is the first question. So we have 5 nodes here, 2 is the root, 1 is coming off here, so that tree is of size 1, of height 1. And then on this side we have height 1, 2. And so this is a balanced tree because here at the root we have 1 on this side and then 1, 2 on this side, and those are only 1 apart. So we can say that the tree is balanced. So yes, that tree is balanced. In the next tree, we lost that 1 node on this side. So now we have 0 on the left and 1, 2 on the right. 2 and 0 are more than 2 apart, or 1 apart. So this is not a balanced tree because this side is missing things and it's unbalanced in that way. Going on to the next tree. All right, we're getting a little more complicated here, adding some more layers. And so here we have of height 1, 2, 3 on this side and 1, 2, 3 on that side. So for the root node is balanced. What about the subtrees? Because we don't only care about the root node, we also care about the subtrees under the root node. Well, on this side, 6 and 5, that's 1 height on the 5 side and 1, 2 on the right side of the tree. So this is a balanced subtree. On this side, we have 1, 2, and 0, so that's not a balanced subtree. This 3, 1, 2 is not a balanced subtree because 3 on its right side has height 0 for its subtree, and on its left side has height 2. So this is not going to be a balanced tree because of this. So we're going to say no there. All right, next. Again, a pretty full tree. So we're going to consider the root first. The root here has 1, 2 on one side and then 1, 2, 3 on the other. So that's a difference of 1, and that's totally fine. All right, so we have 1, 2 here and 1, 2, 3 here. Difference of 1, that's totally fine. Let's look at the subtrees. 2 has 1 and 0. That's a difference of 1, so that's fine. 6 has 1 and 2. Again, difference of 1, totally fine. 9 has 7 and 0, or sorry, 1 and 0. So that's a difference of 1, and again, that's totally fine. And then, of course, each of the leaves has no children. So they're automatically balanced. So this is a balanced tree. All right, so those are the different balances that we've seen. Now let's look at the time complexity of balance, of searching in a balanced tree. So if I'm searching here for 7, say, I'm going to go 7 is greater than 4, so I'm going to go to the right. 7 is greater than 6, so I'm going to go to the right again. 7 is less than 9, and so I get to go left and find that 7 finally. Now again, just like I said before, each time I'm making a decision and making a comparison here, I'm having my choices. So I don't have to consider any of these nodes once I decide that 7 is greater than 4. I don't have to compare it to 2, I don't have to compare it to 1. So when I'm having my choices each time, when I'm splitting things in 2, just like we saw with merge sort, that's going to be a sign that we're doing log. So this is when we're searching in a balanced binary subtree, it's O log n for our time complexity, and that's base 2, log base 2n. All right, what's the time complexity of inserting into a balanced subtree? Again, pretty easy. When we are going through here and we're finding the place, we have our choices each time. So again, we're going to do an O log n time complexity. And finally, when we're removing from a tree, Again, the main time complexity is going to find the thing that we're going to remove. And once we do that, we just have to uncouple the actual elements. So again, that's going to be an O log n time complexity. So this is pretty consistent with all of our operations, finding things, accessing, searching, all of that is pretty fast in a balanced binary search tree. That's the advantage of balanced binary search trees. All right, so going back here, we have all these rotations and we have these two trees that aren't balanced. How could we balance them? So we have a few different ways to do this. So let's look at specific examples of things that are unbalanced. So we have this example on the left where everything is coming down in a row here. So we have the 6, the 5, and the 4. And on the right, we have a 6, a 4, and a 5. And these are slightly different, even though they have the same numbers, but they're both unbalanced because the 6 on the left has a subtree that is height of 2, and the 6 on the right has a subtree, and on the right is 0, and here we have a subtree height 2, and on the right 0. So these are both unbalanced because 2 and 0 are more than 1 apart. So here, in our first case, we want to find the node, actually in both cases, we want to find the node that is closest to the value of the root on the subtree side that is longer. So the subtree side that is longer is, of course, this one, because there's nothing over here. So the value that's closest to 6 here is 5. So 5 is going to be our new root. And so it's always going to be the thing closest to the middle of the tree. So 5 here is the closest thing to the middle because 4 is going farther out. And so we're just going to make that the root of the tree and move the 6 down here. And now 5 is the root of our tree, and that we had the relationship between 5 and 4 didn't change at all. We just moved 6 down, and now 5 has been declared as the root of our tree. All right, so that's a pretty simple rotation. Here we do basically the same thing. I want to look at the node in the left subtree, because that's the larger subtree, that is closest to the value of this 6. And that's going to be the 5 again. So this is, when you're doing the left-hand side, it's the rightmost element. So over here, 5 was the rightmost element of these three objects, or of these two objects. It was the rightmost thing because this went left more. Here, 5 is again the rightmost object because it's on the right-hand side of 4. And so we're going to take the 6 down, we're going to make 6 a child of 5, and we're going to make 4 also a child of 5. And we get actually the same tree as we did in the other diagram. All right, so we're always going on the subtree that is larger and looking for the thing that is the closest to the root in size. Right? When that's on the left subtree, it's the rightmost object. When it's on the right subtree, it's the leftmost object. All right, so let's look at that in a larger context. So in this tree, is this tree currently balanced? Take a moment, pause the video, see if you think this tree is currently balanced. All right, so we have a 6 here. 6 is our root. And our subtree on this side has 1, 2 in height. And our subtree on this side has 1, 2, 3 on height. That's a difference of 1. That's fine. Here, our subtree is 1 in height here and 1 in height here. That's the same. All's good. Here, it's 1, 2, and 1. Difference of 1. That's fine. And finally, here we have 1, 2, or 1 and 1. So we're good. So this is currently a balanced tree. What happens though when I add in a node? When I add in a node that is 0. in size. So this node is smaller than 6, smaller than 4, smaller than 2, smaller than 1, and it's going to be all the way down here at the bottom. So now we have a height of 1, 2, of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's bigger than the 1 that we're allowed, but we're going to look at the subtrees first. So let's see. This is still balanced, 1, 2 versus 1. This isn't. So we have 1 versus 1, 2, 3. So I want to look at this subtree before I take the whole tree. So I want to follow the same rule as I did with the earlier rotations. I want to make the new root the thing on the longer side that is closest to the current root of 4. So 4 is my current root. And I want to move that down and make the node that is closest to it on this side the new root. And that's going to be 3, because 3 on this left tree is the rightmost node, right? So first things first, I'm going to move this 4 and 5 down, and then I'm going to move this 3 up, right? So now I have the 4, 5 as a subtree on the right of 3, and my 2, 1, 0 as another subtree on the left of 0. So now for this section of the tree, I have 1, 2 on my right and 1, 2, 3 on my left, and that solved that small problem. I do have a new problem though of this subtree, right? So I have 0 here and 1, 2 here. So I need to do the same thing I did with this 6, 5, 4 before, move the 1 up and the 2 down. So I'm going to move this 2 down, hopefully not taking this pointer with me, and then moving the 1, 0 up here. All right, so now we have a balanced tree again, because we have in this small thing where we were just trying to solve the problem of imbalance, we have 1 on this side and 1 on this side. That's fine. On this larger tree where we solved the problem before, we have 1, 2, and 1, 2. That's fine. And in our large subtree, we have 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2, and again, we're totally fine. All right, so we want to solve the smallest problem first, so we don't do too many rotations. Our 6 didn't change, neither did our 9, 8, or 14. But we always want to make sure every subtree is balanced, not just the smallest one, not just the biggest one. Everything needs to be balanced. All right. Next, in the next video, we'll talk about deletions and how those work in this balanced binary tree structure. But for now, go to the next worksheet and practice these rotations. Figure out which node would have to be moved up, what the tree would look like when we're rotating and adding things into the tree. All right, I'll see you in the next video.